I wore my pain like royalty. I carried it like a crown. Everybody saw how gracefully I walked, but nobody knew how heavy the crown was. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I prayed when I wanted to give up. And for most of my life, I thought surviving meant never letting anybody see me break. But tonight, I think God is finally teaching me I don't have to wear my pain anymore. There was a time I learned to hide my sorrow behind the prettiest smile I could make. I'd powder every morning, put my dress on, and pretend my heart wasn't breaking. People would say, "You always look so strong." I would laugh and say, "I suppose I learned how." But strength can become a costume when you've worn it for too long. I carry disappointments like jewels around my neck. Every goodbye became a diamond. Every heartbreak became a pearl. I never threw the pain away, I polished it. I learned how to make suffering look almost beautiful. And nobody knew that underneath all that dignity was a woman quietly asking, "How much longer can I carry this?" I became so good at pretending that even I forgot the truth. I wasn't fearless, I was simply afraid that if I stopped being strong, everything would fall apart. I wore my pain like royalty, like a crown upon my head. I walked through every battlefield with all the things I never said. I smiled through the broken years, I dressed my wounds in gold. Everybody called me strong, but nobody knew how cold it felt inside the palace that I built around my heart. I wore my pain like royalty until I couldn't tell where the woman ended and the suffering started. I remember being younger, before life taught me how to hide. I used to believe that people stayed when they said they'd always be by your side. I trusted every promise, I believed every forever. I thought love could fix a person if you just loved them enough. Then came the first goodbye, then came another, then another, then another. And somewhere between those endings, I stopped asking people to stay. I learned to wave, I learned to forgive quickly. I learned to say, "I'm fine," even when I wasn't. There are some sentences that become prisons when you repeat them long enough. Mine was, "I'm fine." I said it at funerals, I said it after heartbreak. I said it when the doctor gave me news I didn't want to hear. I said it when the house became quiet, and eventually I believed it. There were nights when the house felt bigger than it ever had. The hallway seemed longer, the room seemed colder, and every photograph on the wall looked like proof that time had stolen something from me. I would sit beside the window with a cup of tea, growing cold, and remember the people who once filled those rooms. Laughter in the kitchen, children running down the hallway, someone calling my name, a husband asking what was for dinner, music playing from another room, life everywhere. Then one day, silence. That's one of the cruelest things about growing older. The people you love don't always disappear at once. Sometimes they disappear slowly. One chair at a time, one phone call at a time, one empty bedroom at a felt inside the palace that I built around my heart. I wore my pain like royalty until I couldn't tell where the woman ended and the suffering started. What I never told my children. My children think I'm stronger than I ever really was. They saw me keep the family together when everything was coming undone. They saw me cook through tears. They saw me pray through fear. They saw me stand beside hospital beds and pretend I wasn't terrified. They saw me bury people I loved and still wake up the next morning. But there are things children never see. They never see their mother's hands trembling when the bedroom door finally closes. They don't see her crying quietly, so nobody hears. They don't see the questions she asks God at 3 in the morning. They don't know how many times she almost gave up before deciding to get out of bed. I wanted to protect him, so I hid the wounds. I thought that was love. Maybe sometimes it was, but maybe I also taught them that being strong meant suffering silently. And I wish I had taught them something else. I wish I'd told them, you can hurt, you can cry, you can ask for help. You don't have to turn your wounds into jewelry just to prove you survive. I wore my pain like royalty. I carried it like a crown. Everybody saw how gracefully I walked, but nobody knew how heavy the crown.